He laughed at me and he said, "You're not the first person to have your period." My first period was a memorable period. Story of how I became a woman. I had my first period when I was 13 going on 14, and it was at church camp. I didn't want to go for that church camp. So when I told my dad about the abdominal pain I was having before the camp, he thought that I was trying to get out of camp because he knew I didn't want to go either. So I had my period on day 2 of camp. It was a communal bathroom, and we were going to take a bath. Just when I was undressing, one of the girls noticed that I had blood, and she told me. So that's how I found out I had my period. I had already had the talk with my mom, so I knew what to do. I got a pad from one of the girls, and I told my dad, and he told Auntie Rita and Mrs. Ellis, who boiled eggs for me, which was really cool. They said that I had to swallow the eggs whole, not bite into the eggs, because that would mean that I'm biting into my fertility. And they talked to me about being a woman now, that kind of thing, which was nice. After camp, my dad and I went to this wholesale store in Kumasi, where he bought me this big pill of always pads. I think it had about 50 of the pads in there, or like 30 or whatever. But I told him that I feel like I would be more comfortable trying tampons because I'd read about them and I wanted to be able to, do everything, not have to wear pads. But I don't think we'll find tampons in Kumasi. And he laughed. He laughed at me and he said, "You're not the first person to have your period in Kumasi who wants tampons." So we went to the tampon aisle. They didn't have wholesale tampons, but they did have tampons. So he bought me a box of tampons together with my large pack of pads. And we went home and I took my big pack into my room. And my sisters were all asking why I wasn't sharing with them, and I said, well, Daddy took me to get them, so it's mine. So I went to put them under my bed, which was hilarious. But yeah, that's the story of my first period. My dad had already told my mom by the time I told her, but she was excited. She congratulated me and she said, well, you're a big woman now, just like we talked about. So that's the story of my first period. I did not have any terrible symptoms that first period. I just had that pain, the abdominal pain that I talked about. But after that, subsequently, my periods were terrible, with like vomiting and being sick, all of that. Yeah. So my first period was a memorable period.